Good evening, everyone. I want to start us off by thanking the IACC for having us here today and allowing us to share our knowledge with you. My name is Tita Borzelli, and I'm a portfolio manager within the Organized Crime and Corruption Program at the Center for Advanced Defense Studies, or C4ADS. C4ADS is a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., that leverages publicly available information and cutting-edge technology to detect, disrupt, and defeat transnational illicit networks. It is my pleasure to welcome you today to our workshop on how we at C4ADS use technology to trace the undeclared assets of politically exposed persons. I'm joined here today by my brilliant team, Angela Bruyel, C4ADS's Chief of Data Analysis and Software, Rosemary Lark, the Director of the Organized Crime and Corruption Program, and Aryan Motahar, C4ADS's Product Manager. At C4ADS, Angela leads our 7 analytic and technical teams. Before coming to C4ADS, Angela had a long and distinguished career at the US government. Rosemary is a former financial crime compliance practitioner. She has monitored banks for the Department of Justice and the Federal Reserve Board, and led complex financial investigations for law firms and private sector clients. She's currently pursuing a doctorate at Johns Hopkins University, focusing on corruption in the financial sector. Aryan, to my right, is a product manager at C4ADS. Currently, he manages our portfolio for software programs alongside our engineering and design teams. Notably, he supports Seamless Horizons, the platform featured in this demo. And again, welcome. My name is Tita. I oversee all projects and initiatives within C4ADS that deal with kleptocracy, patronage, and enabled networks. My work largely focuses on asset tracing across Europe and in Dubai. I will give a brief introduction to the challenges that asset declarations regimes face and how our politically exposed persons program has been developed to overcome some of these obstacles through our unique data and software capabilities. I will then turn the conversation over to Aryan, who will introduce our data lake, Seamless Horizons, and showcase how the tool can be used to enhance anti-corruption investigations. Finally, Rosemary will conclude by highlighting the impact we strive to achieve through this project. Our PEP project is based on gathering data on politically exposed persons, or PEPs, who have access to significant power and resources, which some, as we know, misuse by engaging in corruption and favoring their personal interests. International organizations like the United Nations advocate for asset declaration systems to combat corruption, with specific mandates for PEPs to disclose their financial information. Over 150 jurisdictions worldwide have implemented PEP asset declaration systems to enhance transparency and accountability in public service. However, despite these efforts, there is a lack of consistent standards and requirements for PEP asset declarations and databases, highlighting the need for centralized access and standardized legal and investigative frameworks to effectively tackle corruption. We at C4ADS, when we started this project, identified 5 primary challenges that could be addressed with the assistance of technology: data access, data analysis, historical records, and domestic and transnational verification processes. Let's start talking about the first one, accessing the data. Currently, each jurisdiction maintains its own asset declaration database. And within a single jurisdiction, there can be multiple databases managed by different ministries or branches of government. This fragmentation complicates the process for stakeholders who need to access comprehensive asset declaration information, as they must navigate through multiple systems with potentially different interfaces and data management protocols. To improve transparency, it is then crucial to consolidate data across various platforms into a single, easily accessible website. This, as you can imagine, would allow stakeholders from all sectors, private, public, CSOs, to retrieve necessary information without having to navigate and find multiple websites. The second challenge we face is analyzing the data. Asset declarations are frequently submitted in non-machine readable formats, such as PDFs. which are often handwritten and scanned, resulting in poor quality copies that are difficult to digitize and analyze in bulk. The poor quality and non-uniform format of these documents significantly hinder automated data analysis and make it very challenging to efficiently monitor and evaluate the declarations for potential discrepancies and potential corruption. So implementing technology that converts data into machine-readable formats that makes it easily searchable is essential. This not only aids in quick data retrieval, but also supports complex data analysis, again, enabling better monitoring and evaluation of asset declarations. The third challenge we faced was maintaining access to historical records. As many investigators dealing with publicly available information know, there is a common practice among governments to automatically archive or remove asset declaration data from public access after a few years or once the individual has left their public position. This practice can obstruct historical research and accountability checks, making it very difficult to track asset evolution over time or investigate past discrepancies once the data is no longer easily accessible. Ensuring continuous access to historical asset declaration records through robust digital archives is incredibly important. This allows for longitudinal studies and trend analysis, providing insights into changes over time and helping to identify patterns that might indicate corrupt practices. As I mentioned, one of the major hurdles faced by law enforcement officials is confirming the accuracy of asset declarations, whether the assets were reported or omitted in the asset disclosure. We see this issue as having two different angles, a domestic angle and a transnational angle. For the domestic angle, within each jurisdiction, there is often a disconnect between asset declarations and other official registries, such as property and corporate registries. To address this, integrating those property, corporate, and asset declaration registries domestically can ensure cross-referencing of the data, allowing for more effective verification of declared assets against actual records. This integration can be facilitated by technology, ensuring real-time data updates and flagging discrepancies automatically. And then, as I mentioned, there is a transnational element. Detecting assets parked offshores remains a significant challenge for domestic law enforcement. Establishing international standards for asset declarations and encouraging transparency in international banking and real estate are crucial steps, of course, towards tackling this issue. But in the shorter term, enhancing international cooperation and developing shared technological tools can aid in the detection and verification of foreign assets. So, these are the challenges we faced when we first started this project. We are very solution-driven at C4ADS, so let me tell you how our PEP project has sought to overcome some of these obstacles by leveraging our cutting-edge and software capabilities. Over the past 4 years, we have successfully aggregated PEP asset declaration data from 22 jurisdictions across Eastern Europe, from Russia, the Baltics, the Balkans, Southern Europe, and the Caucasus. And we've aggregated all that into one centralized database, the PEP Explorer. This initiative has maintained comprehensive records over multiple years, enhancing transparency and accountability. So we have consolidated data across various platforms into a single website, which is ensuring compatibility and interoperability among different data systems. This requires, as you can imagine, significant coordination, standardization of data formats and protocols across multiple sources, which can be complex and resource intensive. So I've just told you a lot about PEP Explorer. I would love to show you PEP Explorer. So if you'd like to follow along with me, here is PEP Explorer, our platform. I'm just going to click on the search button here to show you the landing page. As you can see on your top right, there is a search term box, and that in that you can search whatever name of a PEP you would like to search within our database. We also have the possibility to search across the database through additional filters. Those filters are country that the PEP belongs to, the role of the PEP, and the organization the PEP belongs to. And then finally, we have also the possibility to filter through the years that the PEP was in their PEP position. And for this demonstration, I want to showcase a PEP, Abdulmajid Magramov, and pardon my Russian, I'm just learning. He is, let me see here, part of the State Duma in Russia. And as you can see, I searched his name in the search term box, and immediately the name popped up. If we click on it, we're now able to access his asset declaration. You can see it in the original language and in English. I'm going to click on the English because, as I said, I'm just learning Russian myself. And the system automatically translates the entire body of the asset declaration in English. So even those that don't speak the language of the asset declaration they're investigating, they're now able to access it very easily. As you can see here, we have information on the name of the PEP. We also have information on the source of where we got this asset declaration, this link that you can easily click on to go to the original source. And then we have collection of asset declarations for this PEP over time. And just for the sake of this demonstration, I'm going to click on 2020. As you can see here, Magramov, listed as his affiliated organization, the State Duma in Russia. He also listed his income in rubles. And then he listed different movable properties. Those are vehicles that he declared to his government that he owned. We have an Audi, I think 2 Audis, and a Mercedes. Pretty nice cars. And then we have 14 real estate assets that he's declared. And as you can imagine, there is a lot of variation in the categories of assets that each jurisdiction forces their PEPs to declare. In this case, we have information on real estate, and we have information on the ownership, whether it's directly owned or not, the area of the real estate property, as well as the type of the real estate property. And you can easily click through it like this and see that all of these properties are based in Russia. There is some variation. There is some apartments, a garage, a land plot. Easily go through it. So as you can see, and especially from here, the list of countries that we've included in this database, we have now solved the data access problem that we started with, which is great. However, for the investigators in the room and for everyone that we've actually demoed this platform for, we were always stuck on a question. Okay, these are all the assets that a PEP has declared. But what about the assets that they have not declared, right? Because we all know that PEPs may lie on their asset declaration. So we, with the support of our partners and funders, that allowed us to integrate the PEP Explorer database into our broader data repository, Seamless Horizons, we're now able to have an automatic lead generation process that allows to visualize discrepancies between disclosed and potentially undisclosed assets of PEPs that we're going to show you in just a second. Seamless Horizons is our extensive data lake, which encompasses a wide range of records, including property, corporate, procurement, trade, and judicial records across more than 170 jurisdictions. To do so, we have converted existing data into machine-readable formats and ensured that it was easily searchable. We spent significant time cleaning the data, standardizing large volumes of data, building robust and secure archival systems that maintain access to the historical records, And finally, we also implemented advanced search functionalities that allow to investigate not only PEPs, but when that information is available, also their family members, business associates, corporations that we know they may use to obfuscate the ownership of the assets. So again, utilizing advanced technology, we can now identify inconsistencies between the declared assets of PEPs and other potentially undeclared domestic and transnational assets. Domestically, take the case of Serbia, where asset declaration, property, and corporate registries are all publicly available. So we were able to consolidate all of them within one database, Seamless Horizons, allowing investigators to seamlessly compare PEP's financial disclosures to other properties or companies they may own domestically, but they omitted from their asset declarations. This integration has significantly streamlined the investigative process. And what we have heard time and time again at the IACC here in the last 2 days is the importance of international collaboration and cross-border, cross-jurisdictional, transnational information and data sharing to tackle corruption effectively. A critical advancement in our project is the enhanced capability to detect these discrepancies between PEPs declared and undeclared assets, not only domestically, but also abroad. With access to over 2 billion records of global asset data, our system empowers investigators to conduct more thorough and effective examinations of PEP asset declarations cross-jurisdictionally. Again, before I turn it over to Arjen for our Seamless Horizons demo, the PEP project exemplifies how targeted technological solutions can overcome traditional barriers in monitoring and investigating asset declarations. By leveraging comprehensive data integration and advanced analytical tools, we're attempting to set new standards in the fight against corruption and enhance integrity of public office. I'm now going to turn the conversation over to Arjen, who will be showcasing Seamless Horizons as a powerful tool for any investigation on, as you're going to see, any individual or entity. He will start to show you how we analyze discrepancies in PEP assets before turning it back to me, when I will provide a few examples of these investigative workflows. Thank you for following along.
Before Arjen gets started today, I just want to mention, at this point, you're really recognizing that this is probably a very different workshop than the other ones that you've sat through. I want to assure you that at the end, there will be time for questions and some discussion, but mostly what we want is some feedback from you on ways that would make it easier for you to investigate, information that would be handy if you had access to, and that ways that we might be able to better solve some of the problems that we've heard about this weekend, and maybe some that you brought with you that we haven't talked about yet. So I'd ask you to hang with us, walk through the system. We want to make sure that you have access to the system, which we will work to do at the end through just reaching out to us and us getting you set up. But also we want to all work together to come to better solutions for how we can do these investigations and how we can uncover the PEPs as they work just as hard against us to obfuscate their wealth.
Thank you, Angela. And thank you, Tito, for showing us PEP Explorer. I'll now show a platform called Seamless Horizon. This platform has changed the way we at C4ADS conduct investigations and analyze data. Our journey to create this product has been filled with a lot of aha moments and a lot of breakthroughs that I'm really eager to share with you. The motivation to create this product derived from our growing pains as an organization in the past. In our early days, our analysts were deeply involved in investigations, but they were constantly frustrated that their investigation sessions, they had to jump through multiple data sources just to gather data. And even when they got that data, they would spend countless hours manually sorting through large unstructured data sets. So to put that into perspective, imagine you have hundreds of large Excel files on your computer, and every time you have to refer to that information, you scramble to first locate that file. And even when you find that file, everything inside of it, all the columns, the rows, the text, they're all wildly different. Essentially, it's a data spaghetti. It was almost like fighting and finding a needle in a haystack every single day. And the more partners we talked to, they were also running into the same issue. This kind of led to us having a moment of asking, what if we could consolidate all these scattered pieces of data into one platform? A single place where we could collect, store, and query all relevant information seamlessly. And this is when this project was born. So what is this platform exactly? It's a data lake. It's one of the largest repositories of publicly available information that is comprehensive and searchable. This data lake is built from hundreds of carefully curated, clean, processed, and integrated model data from all sources from every corner of the world by a team of analysts, consultants, and our partners. Today, this platform has about 2 billion records from over 1,000 data sources spanning across 175 jurisdictions and regions. And with our 7 analytical cells, this data coverage is growing day by day, given the amount of investigations and initiatives we finish within a year or for the quarter. So what is really amazing is the coverage of this data, of this 2 billion records. We have a variety of different types, including corporate registries, trade and property data, procurement, judicials. So imagine the possibilities when all of these data points come together. Suddenly, patterns emerge, connections that were previously hidden become a little bit more clear, and now you have a more comprehensive picture of a complex network. At the core, Seamless Horizon is a powerful lead generator. It's been a go-to destination for our own internal analysts, external investigators, civil society partners, enforcement partners, and journalists. And they rely on Seamless Horizons to uncover valuable insights with open source data, driving impactful investigations and stories. So for today's presentation, I'll cover the 3 big pillars of Seamless Horizon. First, I'll talk about some of the features, then I'll demonstrate it with examples, and then I'll briefly talk about the PEP environment that we've recently developed. And then finally, I'll hand it back to Tita, who will do a deep dive and highlight some of these features within that PEP environment. So the first pillar of this platform is search. As you can see in this user interface, the focal point of this is a really big search bar with a...
Hold on.
1 second.
Can you hear me okay?
Try again.
Hello? Sorry about that. As you can see, the focal point of this user interface is a big search bar with the big red icon. Search is one of the main focus and the idea behind this platform. So we spend a lot of time iterating and improving on it. Even beyond what you see on the front end, on the back end, we spend substantial time optimizing the infrastructure to index massive amount of data and being able to query a lot of data in like a very easy way. So our unified search integrates all available search functionalities. So imagine no longer you're having to jump between multiple search engines to find relevant information. So now you have a single space. So let's see this in action. First, I'll perform a very basic search. Let's search the name John Doe. And then immediately you can see Seamless Horizon will return a name hit as highlighted by yellow coloring throughout the pages. On the left-hand corner, you'll also see a filter tool. This is a powerful section that helps you kind of steer your investigation and narrow your focus. So let's go through each filter option and understand how they add to your investigation. The data source, this just tells you where these results came from. So as you can see, some of these hits came from the Florida Land Tax Registry. Some of these came from the New York Property Valuation Records. Some of these came from the UK Formation House. So it just tells you like where this data came from. On the right-hand corner, the dataset type. Here you can dictate what kind of data sets you want to look at. So if you're more interested in trade record, you can filter through here. If you're more interested in financial data, again, you can filter through here. On the bottom section, these are geographical filters, so language, region, and country. And I'm actually going to open it up and show you just like the vast amount of coverage we have. So just scrolling through, you see hits on China, you see hits on Ukraine, Namibia, Uganda. So very comprehensive. Now I also want to go back to this section right here, the results type. Here, you can dictate what type of files to return back to you, right? So if you want to get a return back for a HTML file, Parquet file, whether you care about a CSV file, here you can do that. One other thing that is here that is kind of like the really big driver for us as a value add is model data. So model data is kind of our way of breaking down unstructured data into its parts and making it structured. In essence, it's almost like adding an ontology layer to unstructured data, transforming it from data spaghetti to structure and usable information. So let me give you an example of that. So this is model data. So if you look at the top, there's information on this profile, on this entity, which can include information such as the nationality, the address, the political affiliation. Prior to this being a model data, all this lived in that spaghetti format where it was in that CSV, so you didn't have connections. And even beyond that, everything below that, you see the different sections, all of these are basically nodes. So you can click through that and make those connections. We categorize model data in two separate ways, things and intervals. Things being companies, individuals, organizations, groups, and intervals being the activities, transactions, or the relationship between that. Tito will come back to this and do a deep dive, so I'll leave it for now. Now, if you go back to our example of John Doe, you'll see that we got 10,000 hits. As an investigator, that might not be what I'm looking for. That might cast a very wide net and doesn't really help me. So what can we do to kind of narrow our searches? So this platform, the unified search engine, also supports advanced search. So you're able to kind of replicate some of these searching techniques, such as here we can input exact search by putting double quotation. So immediately when I do that, this 10,000 will get reduced by a lot. So we're down to 1,200 now, right? Now, let's say we also want to handle variations on this name or even middle names. At that point, what we can input is a fuzzy search. And you do that by inserting a tilde and a number. That number being from 1 through 5. 5 being the highest, and you have more wilder variation, 1 being a little bit more conservative. I'm going to put something in between, which is a 3. So beyond that 1,200, it should increase a little bit more because we are covering a little bit more now with those variations. So now we're up to 3,388 results. This is great, but now let's have the reverse problem where you're not getting a hit. So I'm going to search my name, and hopefully we don't get any results. As you see, there's no results on my name on this platform. Great. So what can we do here to not be have this not be a dead end? Here, we also support Boolean operators. So similarly, I can break down the name into two separate parts. And I want to say to this search engine, like, hey, instead of trying to find that exact name, let's see if we can find bits and pieces together. So I'll break my first name, or give me a hit on the last name. And again, I will incorporate those fuzzy searches to account for any kind of variations, middle names, slight spelling mistakes, just to have, like, again, like a better net to cover from. So when I do hit the search now, again, we'll see that I do have more results. I'll probably go through this data sources, and you know what? For this name, maybe the Cyprus corporate registry is not relevant here. I'm from Bangladesh, so let's see if there's some hits from Bangladesh. And there's something from the country Gazette, so let's apply that. And we're down to 38 results. And we can go through these names and the mutahars, and you can see like they have like different names, so it's not me. For us to have a hit, we like to have multiple identifiers. And more personal identifiers such as passport IDs, national ID, date of birth, that I can distinctly tie back to me, that's a really good hit. The more the merrier.
And we do have some tools within here as well. Like let's say that text heavy, or you don't want to go through the step of writing all these Boolean operators or fuzzy searches. We have something called a query builder. So a very simple drop down where this handles it for you. So we're not doing it from scratch. So again, if I want to add another term, I would have done just like that. And that would insert it right here for you. So this has been very useful for our first-time users, very early users, and they were able to find this very useful right away. The second pillar of this platform is about having the right tools to support an investigative workflow. So here are some tools that we've integrated for this PEP environment. First, I want to highlight the OCR tool. So I'm going to go back to the home page, and here we have a 3-bar menu. So if you click here, you'll see there are additional tools. One of the ones I want to highlight right now is this tool called Document OCR. So what this is an optical character recognition. This is really useful for some of our users that work with a lot of PDFs or images that contain a lot of text, or even handwritten text. So what OCR does is it converts the text or images into machine-readable format, making it easy to copy, paste, or search within this document. So let's go ahead and give you a quick demo. This is something I wrote up before this talk. Hi, IASCC. This is a test for OCR. As you can see, this is not clickable. So I can't really do much with it. It's just an image. What this tool does for us is I can save it as a screenshot. When I go to upload it, I can upload this back to Seamless Horizon. And here, currently it's showing that this is processing. It'll take a few seconds. It's going to put it through the OCR and then convert it. So now this is complete. I'm going to download this completed OCR. And here's this OCR. I'm able to copy and paste this image. Now, if I go back to Seamless Horizons, what this image was, now it's readable and copyable, and this is a text format. So this is super helpful, and we don't just do this one by one. We do go through this process at a massive scale, hundreds of documents all at once. We have a really intense pipeline builder in the back. And there are tools like this online that you can grab for free, but Seamless Horizon offers a secure and enclosed environment. In our line of work, safety, privacy, and security are paramount. So we work with a lot of investigators, journalists, government partners who handle a lot of sensitive data, and oftentimes in high-risk environment. So we like to make sure that their data remains in a secure and private place, giving them a peace of mind to carry out their critical work. Lastly, I want to highlight on this section, on this pillar of tools, is this tool called bulk search. So remember, I went through the name, John Doe, my name. That was a one-by-one scenario, one-by-one case. A lot of our investigators, analysts, they're going through hundreds of names, hundreds of entities all at once. So this bulk search feature allows you to do that. So you can run multiple all at once. So let's go ahead and kind of see a demo of that. The way I would do that is go through bulk search and hit this red button by create. I'll have to fill out some information, so I have to give it a name, IASCC demo. I have to add a description. And then now what you can do is you can start adding queries and terms. So when you start adding terms, John Doe. The second I did was R.A. Motohar. And then let's say we add Tita, Angela, and then Rosemary. And beyond that, I want to add additional identifier for each one of them. So for John Doe, I want to add his birth date or the year he was born, let's say 1957. Mind, let's say 1994. For Tita, we wanted to incorporate her passport number or something. For Angela, her social security number, and so on forth. And you're able to save this, and you're able to search all this at the same time. And we've actually done this and pre-curated this for the PEP environment. So let me go to the broad search again. Go back, and you'll see this is already pre-curated for you. So this already exists. So half the work is already done for you. So for example, if you go to the Cypress PEP bulk search, if you click open, all the terms are already here for you of the PEPs, right? And for example, if you open up this name right here, there's also already 600 hits on this name. All you have to do is click on this icon. Opens it up for you. And you see all those relevant documents, PDFs, CSVs, emails, you name it. Would that help you? Anybody? The third pillar of this platform is grouping and metadata. So we're not just working in one data set in silo. A lot of our investigators are working with multiple data sets all at once. So to power that, I'll talk about two features. The first feature is a data dictionary, and a second feature is called data collection. So data dictionary, I'll open that up. This is kind of like a one-stop shop to get comprehensive information, background information, and metadata on all the data holdings and all the data sets of Seamless Horizons. So if I'm like kind of scrolling through, typically this is filtered out by the country for you by natively when you first open it. So you can see like for Afghanistan, I have certain data set, the UN panel of expert reports. For Angola, I have the country gazette. For Bangladesh, we have the country gazette. For Cayman Islands, we have the business directory. So on and so forth. It's just a lot, right? And what this does for you is when you actually open one of these up, I'll show it for you, is now immediately you have a lot more background information and metadata on this data set, right? So this data set has 4.4 million records. For a lot of our users, the first question is, where did you get this data? And information on it. So this section right here, it covers a summary of it, like the collection, what is included in it. And even below that, you have some more information on the credibility and the coverage of it. And then below that, you might have some other notes from the analyst of like search tips and tricks of, if you're going back to this original source database, this is what you have to do, or you know what, this is a special note of this data set specifically for Seamless Horizon. And there's also this icon right here. Again, like you'll see, you're able to filter through. And for this data set, if you just click the personal entities and click that, that will just filter, and you'll only return those personal entities. Or if you just care about vehicle information, if you click that, you only get return vehicle information from this data set. But I'm going to go ahead and click through, do the entire thing. Now I'm going to go back to data collection. So this is a powerful feature within this platform, the ability to group different data sets together for further use. And this is crucial for having a workflow where you're handling large volumes of data and structuring and planning out your investigations. So imagine you are making you're creating a combination of different data sets. So for this one, let's say you are creating a combination of the Hong Kong legal reference data set, the EU tender, the Florida land, and then now you have this data set created, the data collection, so combination of this. And what this does for you is that you're able to search through it in tandem. So all this are available for you right here. And this special, like that collection that we created, the label we created, the grouping that we created, is actually available globally now. So wherever you go within Seamless Horizon, that is available for you. So again, like I came to the homepage, you know what, I'm going to search through a data collection that I've previously created, and then search it through, and then immediately those are available for you. So grouping data set not only just streamlines your investigation, but also enhances the depth and the quality of your analysis. Now I'm going to go back to the home page. Let's refer back to the original name Tita mentioned in PEP Explorer, Abdul Majid Magramov. He is a state parliament member from the Duma region who declared all of his assets for the year 2020 to be just inside of Russia, nothing else. So let's look through Seamless Horizon and see what we can uncover beyond his original declarations. So again, I'm going to type his name in exact quotes. And I'm going to add a little bit of fuzziness to, again, account for any kind of variations. So as you can see, we did get a hit for his name within our search parameters. And as expected, there should be something in Russia for him. But what is really interesting here is that we get a hit in a different data set called UAE Sandcastle data set. And for those of you who don't know, this is the Dubai property registry from 2020. So open that up. Here in that property registry, we have its name. We have the identifier, so we have the date of birth. We have his passport number. And within Dubai, we have this, the address of this place, right? The team actually went back and looked through this property, and it's actually super lavish. But what I'm trying to make the point here is that this person who only declared his assets to be in Dubai, now there's a possible and a hit in a Dubai property database. So this is kind of like a powerful example of how to leverage technology and data to uncover how PEPs might try to hide their track and wealth. And oftentimes, as Tita mentioned, they get really creative in their ways of, having shell companies, proxies, or declaring their assets under their family member's name. So this is the powerful way Seamless Horizon has been able to take the learnings from and build on PEP Explorer and cast a wider net and go beyond their jurisdictions and cross that threshold. So this is, we felt like this is a powerful tool, and even our partners, so they want to do more with that in the context of PEPs. So we spent the last few months curating a specialized PEP environment, which Tita will talk more in depth about. Over to you, Tita. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Aryan. All right, so we talked about the challenge of data access, data analysis, maintaining records over time, and domestic and transnational verification processes. So we showed you with PEP Explorer how we're trying to solve the data access and maintaining historical records challenge. We've also solved some of the data analysis challenges that we face in the field. And I'm going to show you how. So I am going to show you our Cyprus asset declarations data set. And as Aryan really brilliantly showcased, we have modeled a lot of this data. What that means is that each person is now within the category person, and everything within the asset declaration has its own category. What that means is that it can be very easily filtered through our filters here. So it doesn't just live on a PDF right now. In this case, I'm going to look at a person and a specific person. Christo, he's a PEP. And I'm going to be adding fuzziness, because as you can see, a lot of the names are in Greek alphabet, and adding that fuzziness allows us to search across different alphabets as well, and accounts for transliteration errors. I find my person. I want to click on his entity card. And specifically for this one, I want to show you the original document that we were dealing with. OK, so as you can see, this is a PDF. It's not a searchable PDF. What you can see is that I'm trying to highlight desperately on my computer, but I cannot. It's handwritten. And so obviously, it's not machine readable. It's inaccessible for people that don't speak Greek. And this is the type of information we were dealing with. So what we did when we got this data was transcribe it, translate it, and model it so that it doesn't appear like this anymore, but it appears like this. So everything that is in that PDF is now contained within this entity card, and it's now categorized, so it's easily searchable. I could click into any of these, and it would give me additional information about the specific asset reported on here. Now I want to go over through an entire PEP workflow. So if I were to start an investigation on a PEP, how would I do it? And I picked a specific PEP. Is a Croatian PEP. His name is Mario Musa. And here he is. He's the head of a state-owned enterprise in Croatia, and within Croatian law, that position is defined as a politically exposed person. We can access the original document where we got all these information from, and this is particularly valuable for investigators in the room, investigative journalists, if you ever have to go back to the primary document because you want to build a legal package, a legal case, or you want simply to corroborate the information against a legal document, you have it right here to always refer to. But we've done a lot of the analysis for you, so you can see here all the different properties and assets that this person has declared. You can see there is quite a lot. A lot of them are in Croatia. Some are in Bosnia. And I will keep scrolling. Right? He's a wealthy guy. You can see here that we also have information on the income that he's declared, cash assets. I'm going to be scrolling for a while. And then here, companies that he's declared he has affiliations with, and vehicles. And if you were to click on any of these assets, you find more information about them, right? You can see here there is an area displayed, amount, the value that the person has declared the property was worth in here. I'm going to go back to the entity card because I want to show you memberships. This is a different tab. It's either a political affiliation that the PEP has declared or affiliation with a company. This case, he's the head of a state-owned enterprise, but not just any enterprise. He's the head of a lottery company. And what the great thing really about our model data is that for every single PEP that in Croatia has declared that they're connected to this company, we now have it when we click. So we just click on the company and we visualize the 4 PEPs that have declared to have affiliation with this company. So you can imagine before you would have had to individually go through each asset declaration and make that connection yourself. Right now the system does it for you. Not only that, say you were to be investigating this company separately from PEPs, right? You're just interested in investigating this lottery company in Croatia. Once you see it and you search in our database, you click on it, you automatically see that it's affiliated with 4 politically exposed persons. And that could make your investigation a lot more interesting very quickly, right? Going back to the entity card, we also have information on the payments received. You can see here information on income, debts, so loans, for example, right here. And again, primary documents obtained over here. So, pretty cool design, in my opinion. But again, we're stuck on the same issue that we were stuck with in PEP Explorer, right? This is great. It's still asset declarations. Don't fret. We have more for you. We have added 2 great features to this platform just for the PEP environment. We're now able to highlight anything on this page and search it in a different tab. If you're an investigator, you know you have a million tabs open all the time while you're going after a lead. At least that happens to us. And so being able to identify and compare and contrast what you're going to see here as the declared assets and what you're going to see in a second as the potentially undeclared assets will be very valuable. So in this case, I'm going to highlight the name of the PEP because I'm investigating the PEP. But as I mentioned, you can highlight anything on this page. So if you wanted to search for one of the companies listed on here, one of the family members, that's not the case for Croatia because unfortunately Croatia doesn't force their PEPs to disclose the name of their family members, but Lithuania does, for example. So if you wanted to do that for Lithuania, you could. And by clicking on this arrow right here, a different tab opens up on Seamless Horizons. Great. The second feature we've created for this project specifically is the ability to exclude a data set from our search. So what I'm doing is exiting the asset declaration space, right? I want to leave PEP Explorer. I want to go into the wider Seamless Horizons to see if there are any assets that this PEP may own that he has not declared. So what I want to do is double click on here, and you're gonna see it grays it out, and there is an X in here. And then I want to add some fuzziness, because what if they have a middle name? What if they own a property or own a company, and instead of putting down their name as Mario Musa, they put it down as Musa Mario, for example. So I'm going to add some fuzziness. There you go. And boom. We got 18 results in just a second across the Bosnia Corporate Registry, Croatia Property, Florida Corporate, Florida Land, South Africa, El Salvador, Mexico, New York, Switzerland, right? All within 1 second. All potentially undeclared assets of a PEP that, if we go back, it just declared properties and companies in Croatia and Bosnia. Hopefully you see the value of our tool. Before we open up for questions, I'm going to leave the floor to Rosemary, who's going to discuss the impact.
Thank you, Tita. So as Tita has described, and Ariane has ably demonstrated, the PEP Explorer and the larger Seamless Horizons database are one of the key impact pathways that C4 is using to hold PEPs to account. C4's theory of impact is to unite public, private, and civil society in our mission to detect, disrupt, and defeat illicit networks. Asset declarations had originally been intended to be a key tool in this fight, but as we've seen, PEPs are increasingly operating transnationally, exploiting the weaknesses in a system that constrains law enforcement and regulators to operate nationally. With these tools now, we have the ability to look at their activities cross-jurisdictionally, allowing us to identify their vulnerabilities, detect their methods of operation, and exploit their weaknesses. By aggregating these asset declarations across 22 jurisdictions, translating the documents, digitizing and OCRing the contents of each asset declaration form, it makes every piece of information searchable, and we now have the ability to run that information against a larger data lake, we can now better identify evidence of undeclared wealth and the patterns of behavior that help surface it, including the fact that when operating in jurisdictions outside their home borders, PEPs are often emboldened enough to use their own names when acquiring their assets. When they do try to obfuscate their wealth, they often turn to family and close associates. If we can quickly identify that network, then those PEP assets can also be effectively traced. What's particularly noteworthy to us is that that pool of family and close associates is usually incredibly small and repeatedly used, making a PEP's activities easier to isolate. And as we've seen, there are often common corporate vehicles in which key officials in a particular ministry or state-owned entity hold shareholdings. So once you find one, you find many. While finding these references doesn't always allow us to definitively confirm our PEP's involvement, it does help us piece together those areas where they appear to be operating so we can drill down with additional resources if needed. As we've said, it's an excellent lead generator. And as we continue to add to the data available in the PEP Explorer and Seamless Horizons, we're shrinking the ability of PEPs to keep their assets and their methods of operation hidden. And as Aryan demonstrated, we didn't even need to have a suspicion that a Russian PEP might have been doing something in Dubai. The system found it for us. The second impact pathway that C4 is using to hold PEPs accountable is capacity building. Our mission is to share this tool widely among prosecutors, law enforcement officials, anti-corruption bodies, investigative journalists, and CSOs to enhance their own ability to do what I've just described. To that end, we're providing initial and advanced training sessions to these partners so they can identify these asset obfuscation efforts earlier and more effectively. We've now done over 36 demos of PEP Explorer and Seamless Horizons. We've also held training events and workshops across Eastern Europe, including but not limited to Ukraine, the Czech Republic, Croatia, Lithuania, and most recently Hungary. These have been with a wide variety of attendees, including, as I've said, investigative journalists, CSOs, and officials from anti-corruption agencies. Our third pathway, impact pathway to hold PEPs more accountable, is our effort to shape the ecosystem. We want to influence action at the strategic level among national governments, regulatory bodies, and policy professionals to draw attention to the vulnerabilities to the system as a whole and to reshape the global dialogue about illicit networks. To this end, we've developed a practitioner's note, copies of which are up here in front of you. It was designed specifically to address ways that governments can address the continuing challenges posed by PEPs and their efforts to obfuscate their wealth. To draft this, we've scanned the landscape and identified key gaps and best practices that if every jurisdiction or even a majority of the jurisdictions adopted would do much to minimize the current vulnerabilities to the system. To highlight just a few, standardization. There's currently no standardized definition of a politically exposed person. Most importantly, most jurisdictions don't include in their definition of PEPs a key category, the family members and close associates, even though we have ample evidence that these persons play a key role. Lithuania, as we've mentioned, does include this category, and it's fairly exhaustive. Second, there are no consistent standards about how long someone should be considered a PEP. In the financial sector, a rule of thumb is once a PEP, always a PEP. That's because they recognize that even if a politically powerful individual steps down from their position, they still remain at high risk for money laundering and financial crime by virtue of their previous experience and political connections. Yet not all national rules reflect that awareness. In some countries, such as the US and the UK, an individual is no longer considered a PEP 12 to 18 months after they step down. There are no consistent standards requiring that PEPs include unique identifiers in their asset declarations, and yet that's how we definitively confirm that their assets belong to them. There's no standard about what categories of assets should be included in financial disclosures. A best practice would be to define those categories, make them mandatory, and start to consider new categories which are particularly relevant, such as cryptocurrency assets. Ukraine is a best practice in this regard. They've just passed legislation that local officials have to declare all cryptocurrency as intangible assets, including the type of cryptocurrency they hold, the date they acquired it, and the total value of the acquired asset as of the date of acquisition. A second major challenge, as I think Tita went through in the beginning, is accessibility. The use of asset declarations are of little value if they're not publicly accessible. And in the course of this project, we've become familiar with the whole range of obstacles that some jurisdictions have put in place to shield PEPs from scrutiny. Housing asset declarations in public databases that require paywalls, requiring authentication requirements, those present a significant barrier to entry, or they have asset declaration databases, but they limit searchability to one field, and then it's exact name match only. Finally, the last challenge to holding PEPs accountable is in the area of enforcement. In too many jurisdictions, failure to disclose information on an asset declaration often leads to little more than a slap on the wrist. A key best practice would be to develop oversight mechanisms to guarantee some transparency, and then to have CSOs hold PEPs and their oversight bodies to account for failure to complete timely submissions of financial disclosures. I'll stop at this point. We've talked about our development of the PEP Explorers, the data challenges we faced and ultimately addressed in this tool. We've given you a demonstration of both the PEP Explorer and shown you its tremendous value, I think, in its integration with Seamless Horizons, making it a very powerful tool for cross-jurisdictional searching. I'll also say that if anybody is interested in gaining access to Seamless Horizons, as we've said, it's freely available. We would be happy to share the database with you. Ariane has set up a QR code. If you want to come up after the demonstration and provide us with your contact information, we can connect you, and we're happy to do that. So for the moment, let me just open it up and see if you have questions for any or all of us, or any comments. Yes?
Person
The gentleman in front.
1 second, the mic.
Surprise, right there at the end.
Oh, it's this. Yeah.
It's very impressive, the platform. I was wondering, what does it take to provision something like that? And do you offer on-prem deployments? And also, if I have my own FTM data, I assume it's follow the money. Could I put it in there as well? Thanks.
Currently, we don't support bring your own data. It is something we are pursuing in the future. We don't support on-prem.
It's coming. That's definitely a place where we're going. So
Yeah. Yeah. This person over there. Yeah.
Thank you. This was mind-blowing, actually. I'm from TI Panama, so we're famous for a couple of things. I wouldn't be surprised.
And I think we have some of that.
Yes, I wouldn't be surprised if we showed up there. We were trying to implement some of these things in Panama precisely because of the problems we're having there. But very soon it was clear that more than they say data analysts or programmers, we needed journalists in order to sort through the data. And just looking at this, I don't know, like just looking at, let's say, the data frameworks for each country must have been mind-boggling. How do you navigate that? What was the spectrum of just pulling data from like open government frameworks, or like having to use journalists to like dig through and get the data before you could sort through it?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Most of the data sets that you see in the system are from directly from government sources. So we just downloaded them from the official source. Some of them come from, for example, for Albania, the Albanian government doesn't disclose asset declarations publicly. And so we rely on NGOs on the ground that upload that information online. But the standardization, cleaning of the data all happens in-house at C4ADS. So Aryan and I have implemented a whole process of collecting the data, standardizing the data, cleaning the data, and making sure it is modeled the way we want on the platform.
I think this is something that also the collection over time has been very helpful because, as we're all very well aware, access to this kind of data has just continued to go downhill in many countries. So a lot of our data was collected in certain jurisdictions prior to them taking it offline, before they realized it was hugely useful for us in investigations, right? So when they were still relying on being able to share much more internal to their government and not recognizing that people could pull that as readily. So we do have plenty of historic data sets. We have lots that have been provided by partners. We've done significant amount of trading of data with different partners that we have on the ground to be able to pull in someone who has been curating maybe their own PEP list or maybe curating some other data. So we'll bring it in, we will work to vet and validate, and then we will work to upload and make that accessible through the data lake, which again, Seamless Horizon hits. So we take advantage of pretty much all different kinds of data. We purchase a significant amount of data as well. So it may be accessible by the public, but there may be behind a paywall. Well, we've probably paid for it. And one of the things that we do when we do partner with people in many cases is what data would be useful to you? Is there a way we can go out and acquire that, whether it's through collection, whether it's through on-the-ground networking, or whether it's through utilizing and paying for that data. So we do a significant amount of that with our partners as well.
Question there in the back.
Oh, this gentleman.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. I just tried to log on and open the website to see if it is accessible, but it's just asking for email and password and no provision to create a password. So I don't know if I was getting it wrong or something. Yeah.
So our QR code will get you to a form to send to us. So we are not. This is not a sales pitch. But as we all recognize the fact that we are actively opposed by those that we're trying to catch as well, which means the only barrier to entry is reaching out to us and creating just even a light touch partnership where we know and vet and validate who you are so that we know who's reaching into the system. So we're letting in those that are doing the good work as opposed to those who are trying to combat the work that we're all doing. So.
It will be released through a license, so once you reach out to us, and that license is free.
Yeah, so if you just fill out that form, I will get back to you sometime this week.
Yes.
Yeah, also very, very impressive, very impressive platform and functionality. I have 3 quick questions. One is, so just to clarify, so is there official data from registries that are public or were public, commercially available data, and also leaks data? So like these different data sources combined, is that correct? And so is it possible for groups or people to request additional data sets that might be online but are not there yet, so kind of to submit them to you for scraping and so on? The second question I have is, do you already have partners, NGOs, journalists that you can mention that you have worked with? Like any impact stories that you can already share based on that data? Thank you.
Yeah, who wants to take it?
Where do we want to start? Okay. So as I mentioned, there is a lot of different types of data in there. So Seamless Horizons actually was initially developed for us to use with our investigators in-house. And so it touches our entire data lake, all of the records we have available. Obviously, that is not practical when we build partnerships to necessarily just open up the floodgates and share everything. So when you do reach out to us, we'll give you access to the PEP environment, to several other data sets. as that partnership develops, like once you let us know what you're looking for and we have access to that data set, then we may be able to change permission levels to grant access to what else is there for what you ask about. And then yes, for the second part of your question, we are like always collecting. So if you know of partnerships that we can make with journalists on the ground, with other official registries that maybe we haven't found yet because it's always evolving, as well as leaked data, as long as we can go through and we'll have our data analyst and data scientist do the best they can to vet and validate that it is good data, then yes, we will absolutely bring that on board and make that accessible. That is one of the cool things that we're leaning into for very soon in the future, the bring your own data as well, creating both a private space where you could bring your own data, you could manipulate and visualize that on your own without everyone else having access to include us, or being able to open that up for sharing, and then at what level of restriction of sharing. So we're really excited about doing that over the next year, and that's one of the reasons that we're kind of moving in that direction as well. It will additionally give a safe place for many of our partners to work on and curate their own data that they can work through that is in a cloud and is not downloaded on their own desktop, creating a little bit of security for those of our partners that deal in less secure digital environments. So, and I believe that was the first two. And Tita, if you want to.
Yeah, absolutely. The most recent collaboration that I can think of, at least for the Organized Crime and Corruption program, was our St. Castles collaboration. And St. Castles is the code name we use internally for our Dubai property registry. We have collected the Dubai property registry and curated Dubai property registry for now, I think, over 6 years. And most recently, we shared it with a consortium of 70 journalists coordinated by the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project and E24, that's a Norwegian outlet, and published it as Dubai Unlocked. Collaboration came out about a month ago. So yeah, that was us. We
Some
provided
of you
the data.
are probably here.
Yeah. Yeah, great. So.
Yeah, we have numerous other, both public and then more private partnerships that we really lean into. And I think we try to fit a good balance of having enough of a public face, enough public reporting, and enough of these public partnerships that we're starting to make sure that people know who we are and that you have a way to kind of know who, if you wanted to work with us, who you're working with. But a significant amount of our work is much more private and done with kind of more sensitive partners that we have all across the world. So.
Any others?
I would also say, not specific to PEP, but there was a fairly large sanction package that came out about 3 weeks, maybe a month ago, on Russian machine tools. A significant part of the work that we've been working on for about 6 months, maybe 9 months. And then just released earlier this week was our big public product regarding that. So feel free to go to the website and check that out as well if Russian machine tools, are really something you get excited about.
Hi, thanks for the presentation. I missed the front end, apologies for that, but looks very exciting what you're doing. My name's Simon Taylor. I'm one of the co-founders of Global Witness, but I'm in the process of setting up a new organization called Hawkmoth. So I'm very interested in expanding our new investigations, not as Global Witness, but as Hawkmoth, into environmental crimes, human rights related crimes, pollution and so on and so forth. Just on a personal level, at home, we've run into an interesting development that looks like it's being put together by someone close in to the Putin inner circle. I don't know if you call him a PEP, but he's certainly a well-connected business type. And I wondered whether your database contains interesting information on characters like that who might not fit in a traditional PEP nomenclature, but in fact nevertheless are the shakers and movers, and whether that extends beyond obviously Russia and others.
Absolutely.
Good.
Yeah, the PEP environment that we have is an exciting piece of what we're doing because you can now automatically pull that up and exclude public asset declarations and really powerful lead generation, as we've kind of talked about. But the database really touches on a lot more than just PEPs. So
you can search any name you would like in there. So
We'll talk later.
We'll search any name within reason.
Well, yeah. They can.
Perfect.
Great.
Great.
If
Were
there are
there-
no other questions, thank you all for attending. Again, there's the practitioner note up here, and there's the QR code, or if you'd like to just give us your contact information, we will contact you about a license.
Thank you so much for
And
Thank
I
you
would
so
open
much.
it up, not necessarily to the public comment, but we are available directly after this. If you saw things that you thought, man, if this one thing were different, it would be very useful, or if you had this type of thing, it would be incredibly useful, or this is really what people need, just this little bit more, we would love that feedback, because that's how we all get better, and that's the
Absolutely.
goal, is for us to all stay ahead of the corrupt actors out there. So
Bad guys.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.